Boom. There we go. Perfect. All right, boys and girls, we are live here at the Camping World directly next to the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Man, I'm already fumbling over my words. We're just now getting started. But yeah, we're right here, right next to, we got to see the X entrance of the Camping World Racing Resort. Z-Max drag strip is right here next to us. So if you're here in Charlotte, make sure you hop on over. Already got a couple viewers out there. Thank y'all so much. We're live on TikTok as well. I know y'all can see me over there. I can't really see y'all. We got someone moderating y'all as well. So we're going to do some giveaways during this. We're going to have a great time, but make sure y'all blow up those likes. We're going to do our first giveaway at 50,000 likes. So we got to get to 50,000 likes, and we're going to do a giveaway. So make sure y'all are blowing those up. Really appreciate everyone here. Let's roll the credits, and let's get this thing rolling.
What do you mean, the intro?
Intro.
God bless America, and gentlemen, start your engine!
Still down there. Still down there.
Still outside corner, you're number one.
Was out. Hell was out. Dancer just about out-wrecked him. And she busted her ass.
All right, we're going to do a quick mic check real quick. Hopefully all y'all can hear us. TikTok side is definitely going to be harder to hear us than the podcast side. So if you can get over to the YouTube side, we also are streaming there as well as Facebook. And that's it for this one. But we're going to get started here. We got one of our friends that actually works for one of the race teams. We'll let him talk about himself a little bit, where he works and why he does it. But let's bring Gerald up in here. What's up, boys?
What's up, Gerald?
So welcome to the podcast. Glad to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me down.
I know you had a long drive to get here, right?
About 3 minutes.
3 minutes. It's nice when it's these local races, right?
I mean, it's beautiful. I'm 5 minutes from the track, 3 minutes from this camp. We're about 3 minutes from work. You know, it's not
Just got off
each
work.
day. Yeah, enough time to get a shower after Fan Fest.
Well,
So.
I'm about to say, do we call it work? Because so for those that are watching, you might not know where Gerald works at, but he's wearing the hat right now. So let's talk a little bit about where you work and what y'all were doing today, because I don't think today was really work.
No, I mean, you know, you can't beat like holding the sign and catching some tires during pit practice really too much of a job. But throughout the week, you know, it gets setting up. We got 2 next gen cars and truck and an Xfinity car that we use for pit practice. So you know, you really can't beat it, man. You can't beat driving a race car for a living, setting it up.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a terrible job. Whenever I'm getting pissed off, I have to sit there and walk outside. I don't get to have fun with race cars at all. So
Yeah, you have there living a dream. Yeah, that's what I've been told. And it does feel like it, you know. Relocating up here was, you know, a pretty dang good decision.
Okay.
And works for a great company. You can't miss Rach. She does a great job with everything there. Best company I've ever worked for, honestly.
Awesome.
At a professional level. You have anything you need, going from a local late model team that does have great stuff for the local level to coming to a professional organization is just, you know, a huge eye opener to, you know, how great everything can be, resource wise, people wise. You know, you got what you need to be able to succeed at
Awesome.
that company.
So what got you started? Where did your love for NASCAR start? And then from there, you know, how did you make it a reality?
So coming to races since I was a little kid, my parents bring me a Coke 600 since, you know, I was a baby, and just following along, being in sports my whole life. Went off and, you know, kind of strayed away from racing a little bit. Once you're in that high school level, you don't really have many opportunities to be able to get to the racing world unless you really put yourself out there. So I ended up going to college, playing volleyball in college, and then you know, football was a huge part, and you know, almost full sported in college. So once I got out, I was able to get into the coaching world as a recruiting coordinator, defensive line coach.
Okay.
But you know, on weekends, in the off season, needed something to do. So you know, Brian Barnhill and the Barnhill family really, you know, took me on and got me my first start in racing at the late model level. We lost Myrtle Beach Speedway, so going to Florence Motor Speedway.
Yeah.
It was that was a beautiful commute too. A little 15-minute drive from the house down to the track. But
so you were in Myrtle Beach area?
Yeah, I grew up in Myrtle Beach since I was 6.
So small world. I lived in Myrtle Beach for about 3.5, 4 years. I lived over actually right around the corner from the track. And it's sad because I remember going there for the last time. And if you haven't been out there lately, or you haven't been out to Myrtle Beach, it was supposed to turn into these condos, and it's still just dirt. There's nothing out. They haven't even started building anything. So I don't know why we lost that track so soon for them to do absolutely nothing with the property so far.
Yeah, it's just stuff that's out of our control, unfortunately. And it's sad that was a huge part of history in the Myrtle Beach community, as well as Coastal Speedway, which was previously to that, the racetrack there, and to the racing community itself, where Richard Petty, got his likes. Adam Petty ended up racing at the Earnhardts, obviously, and local legends like the Barnhills, like Kevin Barnhill won track championships down there, and his father, Brian's grandfather, being the promoter and track operator down there for a long time. So the history roots local and nationally were lost, but Florence and the Zacharias are doing a really amazing job with what they're doing with the Diamond. The Southeast is what they call it.
Gotcha.
And it's a beautiful facility to go to on the local level, and still go and do that every other weekend, which is nice. I love doing cup stuff, working with the Xfinity and truck teams on the pit side, but going down and be able to work on a car that's on the racetrack instead of a car that's doing pit stops every day. That's fun to go out and compete in that aspect too.
Gotcha.
I see you've got the Brian Barnhill shirt on. So
yeah,
repping your old former boss there, giving them a little shout out for getting your career started.
Yeah, we just got these, so I'm still doing stuff for him. He just got these out, so I had to represent both the teams I'm working for. I couldn't leave them out. So yeah, shout out to Brian and Drew over there, Woody, the whole crew on that 5-car over at Florence. We can't wait to get back out there. We had a wreck 2 weeks ago, and just missing this weekend, the Memorial Day race, but kind of works out that I'm still able to come to the racetrack right down the road and enjoy some fast cars.
Yeah, awesome. I think I'm a little bad luck for racetracks because I lived in Myrtle Beach, left there. Obviously, we lost Myrtle Beach Speedway, and now I live in Greenville, and we're losing Greenville Pickens most likely.
We still have hope for that. I was saying the same thing. I was Myrtle Beach, lost Myrtle Beach. I'm here, even though Concord's been gone. Concord doesn't have a track anymore. But
I've been talking with the guys that are trying to get something started. It's so funny to me because Kevin Whitaker, obviously, he sponsors some Xfinity cars every once in a while, but he can't just put his money into that track. He's the one that owns it now, and instead of doing anything with it, it's just kind of unfortunately rotting and going down. Awesome. But remember, 50,000 likes for our TikTok side. We're going to do our first giveaway. So get us up to 50,000 likes. We're going to keep going here with this interview. We got Gerald here. But so I remember, we first met you, I think, through TikTok, right?
Yeah, we just got the messaging because we were just talking racing a couple of years back. And then we were able to meet last year here at the track after the truck race. Luckily, it wasn't raining that night. The rest of the weekend wasn't so lucky, but we kept running into each other and stuff, and been buddy ever since. But it's really cool how friendships do develop in racing through all kinds of networks.
Yeah.
Even crazy how I got up here, just being on pit road at Florence and meeting Bryant when he ran some races for you. Chris Onspaw was actually on the truck team over there, and a couple other rides that Bryant went through. And then when Chris was going through different things, he landed the pit specialist position, my current position at Hendrick.
Gotcha.
And met him on pit road. He called me about 6 months later. It's the last week of that football season, my last football season coaching. And he gave me a call. I snuck off to the side, and I took that call. And he said, put your application in. You'll be getting a call soon. Worked out, got up here, and been a year and a half now.
That's awesome.
And just relationships. It's what out to anyone that asks me, like, how do you get into racing? How do you get to the point you're at? Is it's being able to be a good person, being able to do what anything you need to do, and being able to work for free at first, of course.
That part's not the fun part. That's not.
You got to take some sacrifices.
Yes. Definitely a lot of an ordeal you got to go through to be able to prosper and get where you want to go. And so far for me, it's paid off. And I just, I love the position I'm at right now, which it's a beautiful thing to be able to drive a race car, set it up, like I said, and work with athletes still, because that was my huge thing of leaving athletics, being a recruiting coordinator and a coach. I was able to bring people in and help people out as well as develop them. And I'm not a coach now whatsoever. Coach Claiborne, Jacob Claiborne, Coach Hags, and Coach Keith Flynn do a great job as a coaching staff here in the pit department at Hendrick. And, I love being able to assist and give them the tools that they need, and the athletes the tools that they need to be able to succeed each day, whether it's getting them something from the essential parts or being able to get them a new tool that they think will help them excel. And it's really fun to be able to still develop guys and help them excel. So it's kind of the best of both worlds with motorsports and athletics. Awesome. And can't beat it.
That's awesome. I know we've ran into you a couple of times. Every once in a while, we get lucky enough to get credentials through the friendships like you're talking about. And we see you kind of running up and down pit road, talking with the different teams. So it's always fun and interesting to see what you're doing. But you started working for Hendrick a year and a half ago. What was your duty when you first started? It wasn't always pit specialist, right? You had to start somewhere else. So you said you have to start, the free part, right? So what did you start as when you came into Hendrick?
So I've always been a pit specialist at Hendrick. The free part was more or less on the late model side.
Okay.
Until we really, they entrusted me enough to be able to take on more responsibility.
Okay.
And that's why I really give a huge shout out to the Barnhill family in general. Like without them, I wouldn't be here. Awesome. And I wouldn't be able to know what I know to be able to do my job. So yeah, I've always been a pit specialist since I started out at Hendrick. And at first it was assisting Chris in being able to learn. Like, it's a lot. The cars are all same in a way. Yeah. But, when you go from setting up a late model or helping even set up a late model in shop down in Conway, South Carolina, to coming up here to this pit department, it's not a huge drastic change, but it's still a lot learning for me.
Gotcha.
And, coming off of being a full-time coach, there's still a lot I had to learn once I got here, even though I knew the 95% of what I learned, that other 5%, and me wanting to do the extra 10, 20%, as, any coach would say, the 120% effort. I wanted to give all I can and go around to different departments like Brad and Tear Down, or Mike over in the suspension, or Mike and Dennis when I first started, with huge help learning on uprights and being able to, start cleaning those out. When I just need to be able to go and just try and gain experience and gain knowledge. But, again, Chris was a huge help in teaching me how to set up a next-gen car. And the difference is the Xfinity car is actually more or less the most like the late models.
Gotcha.
But it's still, again, different things you gotta learn. So, if you really want to jump to that late model, the track, a lot of Xfinity teams look to hire. So that's a pretty good transition there. So
I think that would explain why Josh Berry was such a good driver, especially in the Xfinity series in the late or in the short tracks.
Yeah, because even they'll come in and say, like, our pit practice car isn't exactly like a race car, but it's the most similar to a late model. Like when we had a position open up, I actually got one of the Barnhills up here for a minute, and he raced a Charger car down. And same thing he said is it's a pretty good transition to that. It's not too different, but that next gen easy, but people first day or two is like a little more of a learning curve.
Gotcha. Interesting. So, it's funny because it is a small world. We talk about friends, talk about all this stuff. We've actually known some people over in the Hendrick department well before we actually knew you. We've talked a little bit. We had a buddy that I played football with in high school. His name's Kyle Tudor. And he ended up being the jack man. Also got hit by a car. That was whenever he was pitting for Gator, Justin Allgaier. But he was on that pit crew for a long time. So we talked and knew him. Now, obviously, you there. We got another friend.
Kyle won that 7th championship with Jimmy.
Yeah, that's true. And talk about something awesome. I mean, the dude ended up going. He went to ECU and then moved over. So it's awesome to see what y'all do and how. I mean, I don't think people appreciate how much of a toll on the body doing all the pitting and what they have to go through in a race. So can you speak to that a little bit and what kind of what you hear from the guys that you're out there working with and the adversities they have to go through for being on that group?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when you're out there doing as long as the schedule and as long as the season as we have, those guys go out there and some of them do all 3 series in the weekend, where they'll do, especially the younger guys, where they're coming straight out of college football or whatever sport they played, and they're doing trucks, Xfinity, and sometimes Cup, like our development guys. We'll try to get them as many Cup opportunities as possible since we do pit. There's 4 house cars and then the 2 Spire cars that we pit. And there's a lot that goes into that, like you're saying, that injury can happen and that next guy up can come and perform, and an injury can change your career.
Yeah.
So these guys really focus on their eating habits, their recovery, their weight training, heat training.
Just like you do in football. I mean, I played college football, and that's a big piece of it. And that's why they pull in these college athletes. It just makes sense. It rolls right over to it.
Yeah, as a college athlete, like you're saying, like I know what I went through in college, and it's grueling, man. But it's so worth it when you don't ache all the time, because if you put in the effort that it takes to be able to be a college or professional athlete, like these guys are now professional athletes, they have to step it up a level. And Juice, Evan over in our Evan being the head of the pit department, Juice is the strength coach, and then Grayson over there. And Nick, they do a great job. They're on it all the time. They're in there all during the week to be able to offer them the recovery. We're getting the athletic training department, the athletic trainers that we bring in, and that we've announced this year that we're doing the whole pit department renovation. I don't know if you guys have heard about it.
I haven't heard about that.
The renderings are out and everything, and we're as soon as what's going to happen is we have a new shop where all the GM military stuff's going to go over to. So they're going to clear out what used to be the chassis shop where those military contracts are going in, which they won GM contract for a year, 2 years in a row. And they're doing a phenomenal job over there, what Mr. H did to be able to save their jobs when the next gen car came about. And then now they're adding on jobs this year. So they're going to be able to expand the museum back into the old chassis shop. So the museum's going to get bigger. We're going to have the whole building that we're in, which includes central parts and another shop. That's going to all be ours. So the weight room, athletic training, athletic recovery is all moving to their offices, as well as an expanded pit department for us. We're hopefully going to be able to just keep doing what we do with the truck. We got a truck this year from Spire. They were grateful enough to be able to get to us. I believe they said it was their old Christmas dirt truck. So that's now one of our practice vehicles, like I was saying, with the Xfinity and then the 2 Cup cars that we have.
Well, that'd be a KBM truck if it came from Spire, right?
Yeah. So
a KBM truck. Yeah, that's interesting. And so I know y'all farm out a lot of y'all's guys too.
Yeah.
So you have guys working on what all teams do y'all have that y'all supply the pictures for right now?
So Cup-wise, we do the 2 Spire cars, and as well as the 78 BJ McLeod when he runs for our basically developmental guys, which are our newest guys coming in. And on Sunday, we'll be doing the 44, I believe.
Okay.
So New York Racing is what I was told.
Gotcha.
And BJ's running the 66, I believe, on Sunday. And then Xfinity-wise, we do JD Motorsports, the 6 and the 4, and then 17.
So we got a buddy that works for them.
Yeah, so I love being able to go and assist behind the wall whenever I'm available, whenever they're able to have the availability to have me out there.
Gotcha.
So it helps out our athletes too, which is really awesome. And when the 17 car goes and runs, that's a really good opportunity for guys to get extra reps. Even though it is different between 5-leg and mono, obviously.
Are the Cup? So it's like 17 this week is Chase.
Yes.
Is the crew that's pitting Chase's car in the Xfinity Series, is that Chase's Cup crew?
So it's a little mix-up right now. So we do have it is actually the 9 crew all year this year typically, but right now we do have the 5 rear changer from Cup on that front of the 17. Okay. So he'll be on the front changing the 17 this week. Calvin Teague, former baseball player, and
He's gonna have a pretty good picker then.
yeah. Dang, go with TJ on the Jack. TJ Semke, former linebacker at Kansas. Chad Averett on the rear, and then Jared. I can never pronounce Jared Espalmer. I'm sorry, Jared, but he's the carrier. Yeah. Great guy. Great crew, and they're going to be able to get the 17 with the Eagles this week.
Well, I know Andy over here. He actually wants to join a pit crew. He said he wants to be the Jack man too. I think he's got the build to be the Jack.
I don't know if you saw the video of Noah trying to jack the car up to Haas. That would be me.
Oh,
yeah, I see it. It's a tough task, man. I mean,
people don't understand like those like single stroke jacks.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like,
and they're expensive.
Yes.
Very expensive.
Yeah, way more than you would ever expect. And we develop them all in-house, which is really cool with Nick Odell, who's actually the front changer on the 9.
Yep.
Okay. He does up in the engineering department, and he develops ways of being able to get better. So we're always trying to find new ways. If it's a jack or, just trying to find out different techniques on how to make your engagement better or stuff like that. And it helps that he's a pit crew member as well. So he does it. And then it's not like he's going to have to go tell someone, hey, this is what I feel like will help me. Yeah. He knows what will help him, and he'll go develop it. And same, he can listen to his teammates. It's a little better repertoire to be able to develop things. And they've been doing it for years, but Nick's in it from his days at Everham, and now at Hendrick. And he's a great asset to us to be able to, keep those tracks, like you say, the best in the Cup Series, the best in NASCAR, in my opinion.
Yeah.
What does Hendrick do in the instance of suspensions? So a couple weeks ago, tire came off, Carson's car's over, and I know the Jackman Johnson was suspended for a couple of races, and was it a tire carrier or tire changer as well? Yeah. So I'm sure you guys very deep, just like baseball. You have triple
next man up.
Yeah, you mix them up. So next man up. So where do you pull from? Do you pull from Xfinity team? Do you pull from maybe Expire team on their Cup side? Move them into that slot. Where do you get these?
So yeah, it mostly is the next man up type of deal, like you're saying. Like that Spire operation that we ran out to is basically the next guys up, like you're saying. So whoever's performing the best right then will be the best fit with the team, because it is about chemistry on how you're going to be able, like Eric Ludwig and Mike Moss went in and did a great job. So they usually do pit the 7 car, and then we're elevated to the 5 car when those suspensions got handed down, unfortunately, because Brandon and Calvin do a great job on that 5 car week in and week out. Brandon
Too good of a job.
I think they do a fantastic job.
It's amazing, man. Like that 5 team, Blaine on the front, like I said, Calvin rear, RJ as the tire carrier, and Brandon on the jack. That's an elite team. Yeah. All 4 of our house cars are an elite team. So, when it's a big shoe you got to fill whenever someone goes down, you have to have someone ready to step up. So, it's not like we're just focusing on our 4 house cars. We're focusing on every single pit athlete at Hendrick to be able to say, hey, we need to elevate that next guy. We got to elevate to the 7. He's going to be just as good. And then if that goes, then he can fill it, and so on and so forth, because you got to be deep. The best major league organizations, if you want to refer to baseball, have a deep farm system all the way from their rookie ball teams.
Sure. And I mean, they're still trying. Technically, they're still trying out at that point, because they're really trying to make it to that next level. Because I'd imagine there's also obviously we want to talk about pay itself, but I'd imagine there is a pay difference between the second tier guys and those primary guys, and also the chance when they win. Because I know Kyle told us back in the day that they get a nice little bonus whenever the driver wins. So if you're moving over to someone like a Larson, a Byron, not Chase recently or Bowman, but I'm sure they're still getting paid pretty well.
Oh yeah, and that's up to how you perform. Just like any professional sport, it's the effort you put in. It's the rewards will pay out.
Yeah,
it's what you can do, and we have a combine even in 2 weeks coming up to have new guys try out. So it's all about like, hey, who's that next? Who can can someone in that combine come in and take your spot? You know, not saying they will, not saying they won't, but it's all about, like, I still have to perform and beat up that next guy that's going to come into the organization so I can keep elevating and get on the house car as fast as possible.
Yeah, I mean, you're not a guaranteed starter. That's for sure. It always is going to change. Not a guaranteed starter. But all right, so, you know, what's your goal? What do you want to try to get to in the industry before you move on to something else?
You know, my goal right now is, if I could honestly retire with Henry, because, you know, it's just such a great organization. It's not like I would really want to go out and look for anything else at the moment, because you can see, even with rumors circulating right now, and in the past, you've seen teams like previously mentioned, as a kid watching racing, I would never thought Ray Abraham Motorsports would be out of the sport, or if you think Mike Waltrip would be out so quickly. Roush almost went away until Brad stepped in. Robert Yates right Racing, you know, these staples of the industry. Is the Petty name still in the sport as a race team? Yeah. And he's a race owner, but it's unfortunate that all these teams have just gone away. But I don't see Hendrick going. Yeah. You know, so I wouldn't want to jump a ship that I see as the number one. And there was a great quote that Ned Yost had in an interview talking about Dale Earnhardt Sr. on, I believe it's Dale Jr. Download a couple years ago. It was a conversation he had, and it was like Ned wanted to move on from the Braves and go to a different team. And Dale was like, you don't want to leave a winner for a loser. Yeah. And I'm never 14-time Cup champion, you know, or 16-time, sorry. Or how we've got 16 overall.
That's those people's name. Now I can't count.
16 overall championships, including a truck and I believe an Xfinity champion or Busch Series championship, and then the 14 Cup. That's where I always get confused. It's 14 championships everywhere, but we've got 16 as an organization. 14 Cup, 16. So, but yeah, it's something I don't see myself leaving, and I love the position I'm at, and I hope they could expand this role into being able to get you know, more stuff, because I would love to get my hands on more opportunities within the team to be able to help us excel in the pit department on pit road, you know, because as you see, 0.1, 0.2 of a second can matter on a race. Difference. Especially if you don't have the pit selection that was so crucial at Wilkesboro. Yeah. Like I said, when Logano got that pole, it's going to be very hard to beat him with the pit selection. His pit crew, how they're performing right now, because and pole at Wilkesboro, look what Larson and us did last year. And it was a blessing to be able to be there and in victory lane personally. Yeah. But you saw him dominate the race because of the pit stop.
Yeah, 100%. And it's a lot of the racetracks. I mean, you see the end of the race change just based off of 0.3 seconds. And it's all because of how fast and how much repetition these pit crews are what they're doing out there is just insane.
The amount of execution these teams have to perform is, I cannot imagine the stress and pressure that these guys are under to perform these 8.8, 8.9, 9.5 second pit stops, knowing that 9.5 is probably slow in their books.
Yeah, at this point, we're hoping for an 8.9 every time, like at the Coke 600 last year with the front selection on the 24, that 24 being on fire the past couple of years.
Yeah.
You know, we were running some of the fastest pit stops the whole year in a row.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can put it all together. It's like throwing a perfect game or no hitter in baseball or throwing 4 touchdowns in the Super Bowl. It's you can go out and execute all one day, but if your starting left tackle goes down in the fourth quarter, then your quarterback's liable to get hurt. Yeah. So, you know, Jackman misses a peg or slips on the runaround, like stuff out of your control. Like, unfortunately, the 48 Jackman last year, Holman, he was still able to get up and recover. I do forget what track it was. It was so much rubber on the track that it was in his brake duct. Bowman comes in, great, all slides out of the air duct. I mean, not the brake duct, and right in Al's path, slips on it, but split second, he's able to recover because of his training, his intuition, and to be able to think on a split second. And he's able to go get the left side done, send Bowman off, and it wasn't a bad stop. They lost the 0.2.3 of a second, but because of what he was able to do, we didn't lose. Awesome.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you for coming and joining us. It's like we're already at the 6 o'clock hour. About to start getting some drivers here in a minute. So we're going to transition over to that. So thanks for coming on and talking with us.
Yeah, no problem.
Really appreciate it. We'll definitely see you around.
Yeah.
Don't be shy. You know where we're set up.
Oh yeah, I'll see that bus. I was looking for it when we were loading pit boxes into the Speedway yesterday. I was like, I wonder if them boys are over there. And then you texted me when I was running back and forth that you were over at our shop. And I'm like, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. He's somewhere around here, but you just gotta spot that bus, man. But I appreciate you guys having me on, and you know, it's great what you guys do, being able to spread the sport and be able to grow it from your guys' side, and keep doing what you're doing, guys. I love it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, homie.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate you
Thanks,
guys.
man.
See you later.
Good luck this weekend.
Yep, thank you guys.
Yep.
All right, guys. So from here, we got some drivers starting to arrive. We'll start talking to them here shortly as things kind of progress. How many likes are we at right now? What we got?
Slacking.
I know. I'm slacking on thinking. Thanks, boss.
Fell asleep on this.
I forget sometimes. You're gonna have to.
I know we got some comments to catch up on too.
We got some comments. You go ahead and get those rolling.
Jeremy in here.
What up, Jeremy? Yeah, I
Yeah.
should say it. 1.8,000, 1.8K. All right, guys. Y'all got to be blowing up those likes. Really appreciate it. Y'all got to blow up those likes. We're going to have some drivers here shortly. Thank y'all for everything. Thank you for sharing the lives, liking the lives. Y'all keep blowing it up. We're going to have a great time. For here, I guess we can talk a little bit about the All-Star.
Yeah, we didn't. I know you guys had the mass episode the other night. I wasn't on there, so we didn't really get to do our own typical Fascar pit stop episode. So yeah, nothing really eventful happened.
Hey, Charles, you'll probably have to move to up here because that's going to be drivers down there.
Nothing really eventful happened this last weekend.
Not
Not much to talk about.
Yeah, there's not much to talk about when it comes to the on-race product other than Kyle Busch trying to take out half the field all by himself.
Speaking of Kyle Busch, his parents are standing right there.
Oh, yeah? That's interesting. You never know who you're going to run into at some of these places. But, yeah, so Kyle Busch comes out. Obviously, we know the whole Ricky Stenhouse ordeal at the end, but we'll get to that in a minute. Let's talk about the racing product itself. So Joey Logano comes in. He qualifies. He ends up being on the pole for the entire race and leads 198 laps out of
What's up, Andrew?
200. So, I mean, it's just straight up
Yeah, it was
domination.
198 over 200. So, yeah.
Do you think that has anything to do with the practicing? Because he said in his interview they ended up having 800 plus.
Yeah, over 800 laps of practice. I do think that has something to do with it. How much? Who knows? Who knows how many laps they ran? You know, just on tire testing. But yeah, I feel like they probably ran at least 200 laps trying to dial the car in.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's insane. They got to run a lot. I think
Ty Gibbs as well.
Ty Gibbs was there, but he wrecked. That was the one that he wrecked.
Yeah, but he dominated the Open.
He did. He dominated the Open.
So-
He led almost all the laps in the Open as well.
That
Who else
transferred
was
over.
there? I'm trying to remember. There's a few drivers that were there. It was one from each manufacturer.
I don't know who the Chevy car was.
I don't remember who Chevy was. But, yeah, very interesting. And he ended up leading almost the entire race. Obviously, it was better racing this time because the track was able to spread out, I think, this time compared to last year when Larson basically just put the old-fashioned ass whooping on. So better there, but the tires, what do you think about the tires? Do you think it worked, but with an asterisk, or do you think it didn't work at all?
I think the tires is a step in the right direction for sure. Is it a fix? No, because we saw exactly what happened. No real fall off. Guys on the reds were able to run, you know, the entire race.
Yeah.
So, is it a step in the right direction? Yes. Is it the fix to everything? No. I think the fix is horsepower.
Yeah.
We can keep talking about it.
1,000 horsepower. Make horsepower great again. Obviously, we have our nice little stuff out there. If you go to our Instagram or basically any of our socials and hit that link tree, there is still the petition that you can sign for more horsepower back in NASCAR, because I don't think we're fixing this until we get horsepower.
No, I think at this point we've seen that Denny talked about it specifically, that Goodyear is pretty close to not being able to go any softer tires.
Yeah.
So if we already have one of the softest tires possible, what's the next step?
It has to be horsepower. The aero is definitely a piece of it too, but I think we can overcome the aero when it comes to that horsepower. Joey kind of knew those tires were going to fall off. Obviously, we saw some different schemes going on whenever some were like, hey, we're going to move over to the yellow tire versus the red tire. But the red tire was faster, and the fall off ended up being the same. So it just didn't do it. It did not hit the mark yet. We're still getting there. We got to continue to push this and figure out what we're doing to make it a better short track. Because right now, short tracks are terrible.
Yeah. How do you advertise going back to short tracks, especially for an all-star race, or whether it's an exhibition race like the Clash, and we're out here running, the worst package we possibly can. Yeah, like I said, I feel like the tires are a step in the right direction. We're trying something. All-star races always seems like it's an experimental race anymore. Yeah. What's the next step in experimenting? Let's add horsepower.
And the sad part is, right now, this is our championship. Right now, NASCAR has the ability to change the tracks that we're going to.
It's the championship for next year, too.
But it's the championship for this year. It's the championship for next year, the race said. And unfortunately, because they can sell out, I think it's going to continue to be the championship. And that's kind of the sad part, just because they invest a lot of money. It's a terrible product.
It's the city of Phoenix that's investing money for tourism and the economic stimulus that they get from it. So, as long as Phoenix keeps paying the money they are, I think NASCAR kind of has their hands behind their back to a degree. I mean, ultimately, they have to say, maybe we let us take it right back to home.
Yeah, I mean, we need a mile and a half. It needs to change with wherever the racing is the best. If the racing is the best on a mile and a half right now with this car, it needs to be a mile and a half racetrack. Or they've been throwing around this 3-race final playoff. I would be okay with
Charles and I talked about that on our episode when you were at it.
Well, thank you for filling in.
We got Uncle Chuck sitting behind the camera.
Uncle Chuck is our keeping up with our TikTok side. So y'all, hey, don't be slacking over there. I'm kind of looking as much as I can. We got to blow up them likes. Let's get to 20,000 likes, guys.
Yeah, we talked about that. The potential of going to a 3-race championship round. What's the next step?
All right. So now let's kind of move into the meat and potatoes. So obviously we saw after the race, Stenhouse was a man of his word. He said, I'm going to be there, watch and see what happens.
He said, I'm going to need Richard to hold my watch.
Yeah, I'm going to need Richard to hold my watch. And he stayed and he showed up. Now, it's kind of funny because he can't leave because there's no way to get out of that track. Once you're on the infield, you're just there. Yeah. So he couldn't go anywhere.
Concrete the tunnels, Junior said.
Concrete the tunnels, just like Junior said. So, I mean, it's very interesting how this has erupted. So Stenhouse, obviously, everyone's seen it. Swung and connected on Kyle Busch. Stenhouse's dad ended up getting in a scuffle with Busch as well. That's the part that I don't like. I don't think his dad should have gotten involved in that whatsoever.
I mean, what do you do in that situation? I mean, your son got taken out on lap 2. Let's talk about something I feel like's overlooked as well. Ricky Stenhouse was in the All-Star race this year because of his eligibility for being in the playoffs last year, by winning Daytona.
Yeah.
Does Ricky make the playoffs every single year?
No.
Does Ricky win a race every single year?
No.
So Ricky to be taken out on lap 2 of a race that is an invitational race, essentially.
Yeah.
I can only imagine the frustration, not just from him, but letting your sponsors down.
Yeah.
Everything that goes along with that. So was this premeditated from the very beginning? Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I'm here for it. Was the fine correct? Absolutely not.
It doesn't make any sense. This was the largest fine that NASCAR has issued for a fight since 2004 with Tony Stewart. That was a $50,000 fine for Tony Stewart way back then.
How do we NASCAR, how did we put videos of drivers fighting and basically sponsoring it, putting it out there?
Make it the promotion for everything?
Promotion, that's the word. Why are we promoting this? But then as soon as it's promoted, we also find the driver. I do not understand that logic. We said years ago, drivers have at it.
Yep.
The drivers just had at it. Then what?
It makes no sense, too, because I saw an article earlier today when we were driving up here, and it was from NBC Sports where it was saying driver altercations are getting immense or getting higher. And that makes absolutely no sense. There really isn't that many. If you go to a dirt track from back or like any of your local hometown dirt tracks, and somebody slams somebody into a wall, there's a full-on fight, and it's probably the entire family getting into a fight. It's part of racing, guys. Like, we can't sit there and say we want the drivers to be open and honest and tell us things as the fan, and then NASCAR says, no, you can't. You know, Denny last year with his fine for what he said on his podcast, that's overstepping those bounds. This, again, is overstepping the bounds of what NASCAR should be doing.
Yeah, I mean, if we want drivers with personalities, we're going to have to do something. Meaning, these guys can't go out expecting to be penalized or fined just because of their actions.
Yeah.
Again, if we're going to go back to promoting drivers fighting and whatnot, then we cannot allow them to be penalized for one.
Yeah.
And we can't be telling these guys to have at it. But then as soon as they do something, penalize them, it just neuters the personality. We cannot have that. Yeah. We end up with bland drivers. Chase Elliott is an example of it.
Yeah.
Chase Elliott fans come out. It's a fact.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, if you get these guys out of their fire suit and you hang around them, you know, as a normal person, they are just like you.
Yeah.
But they can't be like that.
No, they're not allowed to be.
Part of it's sponsorship.
Yeah.
These corporations have paid billions and billions of dollars to have their name on the car.
Yeah.
You have to be somewhat presentable.
Yeah.
I mean, Kyle Busch for years was the bad guy. Is he still a bad guy? Maybe. But for years, he was the bad guy. Wrecked Ron Hornaday at Texas. He got, penalized, had to sit out a race or two. That makes the sponsors, unhappy. If your driver can't even drive the car that you're paying him to drive.
Yeah.
So there's a fine line between it. But
Well, why does everyone love Dale Sr.?
he was intimidated. Just thinking.
And we can't. NASCAR's making it where we can never have another Dale. We'll never have another Dale, but they're making it to where we can't even have the personalities that made Dale so. The three. It's what made the three. It's what made the Intimidator. NASCAR is taking that away, and they're wondering why the growth is being stunted.
I think it's had an effect on our fan base as well. Back in the day when Dale Sr. was out there and dooring guys, maybe on lap 5 dooring them. Yeah, rooting them out of the way, coming to the win, passing the grass, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Fans rejoiced and praised that. Now, our fan base is almost like if somebody doors somebody, they start crying about it. Yeah. Make your mind up. What do you want? 30 years ago, you had the energy to do it. Yeah. Now it's not.
Yeah.
Is that because we have newer fans coming in and they're just they know that this is the way things are?
Yeah, I mean,
they don't look for it.
I feel like they're losing, and I think it's some people that are taking over in the front office too. It's that mentality shift, and they never got to see what it was like. Also, can I say how cool it is right now that Steve Park is literally like 5 seats down from us at Pomona. Steve Park. We got Shauna Robinson. She's right
Joey
there.
Gase is sitting down there.
Yeah, I mean, like, did he get here?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he did. So, yeah, Joey Gase down there. We're going to be talking to some of them shortly. Make sure you're all blowing up the likes over there on our TikTok side. If you're here on our YouTube, Facebook side, make sure you're hitting the like button as well. We got 7 likes so far over here as well. So, thank y'all so much. We're out here again. We're at the Camping World. We're directly next to the track. I mean, the track, I can see it from here. Let's see, what is this? X entrance? The X entrance right here at the Camping World. Right, yeah, literally right by the driveway. You can almost throw and hit the sign from here. Hey, Chase. But yeah, so I mean, it's a great time out here. We're enjoying what we're doing. But yeah, let's keep going with it. So the All-Star race, the other part I want to talk about when it comes to it is the All-Star going to stay where it's at? And if
For next year, yes.
Well, for next year, yes. We know that's happening. But I'm talking about for future. Is it going to always be at North Wilkesboro, or do they need to start moving it around and make Wilkesboro a point race, or just swap it out and it only be an All-Star, but not every year?
The best thing you can – so the All-Star race needs to come back to Charlotte. We had it for years here. There were some bad races. You're always going to have some bad races. But given that the Gen 7 car is arguably the best car we have now for intermediates, mile and a half, Coke 600 2 days from now, it's going to be a banger.
Yes.
I cannot wait for it.
100%. Always a great race.
Can you imagine what it would be like for a 100-lap race at Charlotte under the lights for $1 million in this car.
Well, that's
So
what.
why can't we bring it back here and make North Wilkesboro a point race the weekend before the Coke 600?
I'm fine.
If you have a points rate, you come out of Darlington, you go to Wilkesboro, you go to the All-Star race, you go to Charlotte. Fans can be in this area for a month.
Speed week. We can
Speed
make it
month.
a speed
You
month.
can make a speed month.
Speed- I
For
mean,
3
yeah.
weeks out of the year, fans can be here. Just plan a vacation.
100%.
Even if they can't make it for a full 3 weeks.
Yeah.
If they're in the general area, 3 weeks is awesome racing.
That only helps the track, that helps the teams because they're going to go by the shops. They're going to go see their favorite drivers.
Especially this year, we have the 2-week break. Yeah, in the summer for the Olympics. Next year, it'll probably be from. If we don't race on Easter, it'll probably be from Easter on of nonstop racing. If we had 3 weeks in a row of this general area,
Yeah.
give the teams a break. Especially we pick crews like Gerald was just talking about.
Yeah.
These guys have to sacrifice so much to be on the road. Their families, their everything to do this. Brandon Henry,
Yeah.
Marine, he was on the show.
Good Marine.
He was just on the bus the other day.
Yeah.
He was talking about it. You have to sacrifice so much. So
It's a lot. And they're talking about 28 straight weeks next year already with that schedule. So I agree. We need to put a break in there. And I agree with you, too. I mean, Charlotte, the All-Star race, that's what started Fascar Living. For those of you at home that don't know, Charlotte and the All-Star race is literally what made all this happen because me, Andy, and a couple other of our buddies used to come out here and actually camp right in the parking lot at the racing resort right across the street. And we started there with the tow behind. Then we ended up moving over to you got the motorhome.
yeah, we
the
still outside.
Yeah.
It wasn't until before COVID.
Right before COVID.
We're doing the bus.
Yep. Because we were sitting at Daytona and we're sitting there like, man, we got to do the bus. And then we literally started looking at Facebook Marketplace. And I was like, all right, this will be like a next year type deal. And then Andy sends me like, I don't know, a week or two later, all of a sudden you send me the one in West Virginia. I'm like,
Yeah, it was pretty spontaneous.
we're doing it. We're doing it. But
I'm
all
here
right,
for it.
I'm here for it. All right. So from here, let's see. Let's get into the driver's shed shortly. Let's talk a little bit. Hold on. Let's take a quick break real quick. We'll take a 5-minute intermission. We're getting some Wi-Fi issues. I want to see if I can't work out real quick. So we'll take a 5-minute intermission. Then we'll be right back. I'm gonna mute it, but we'll still be here. Thank y'all so much for everyone that's here, and we're gonna keep it rolling.
Yeah.
All right, so it looks like the Wi-Fi issues are good. We are back to full even strength, and the lines for the drivers starting to get down. So it looks like we'll start having drivers here in a second. Hey, Chase, do you want to come on and talk a little bit about the area? So we're actually going to talk with the guy that made all this possible for the space. It picks up off mine pretty well. Set on down.
Yeah, man.
All right, so tell us a little bit about yourself, where we're at, what we're doing, and why y'all stepped up and got to the plate for this.
Yeah, great question, man. We're so excited to be at this event this year, collaborating with different folks, especially Citrus Safe Cleaners, the Autograph Zone. They reached out to me like 6-7 months ago and said, you know what? We used to do this at Speed Street days back in the day, pre-COVID. We used to do it downtown, and then that broke up. And Rachel Dean, who's invested in the industry, networking real well over the years, she had the Citrus Safe Cleaners Autograph Zone relationship, and she came to me and said, what do you think about collaborating and partnering with us at the Coca-Cola 600 and getting some drivers out, meeting the fans, and interacting. And when I originally took that phone call, I was excited.
Yeah.
not as excited as I am this weekend and this week as it's turned out. But, just thinking about an opportunity for Camping World geographically being so close to the track, right?
Yeah.
We've got the 4-wide C-Max up there. We do have the dirt tracks, the Worlds, and then we've got, the Charlotte Motor Speedway, just a pros fly away, golf cart ride away over there. And to be a Camping World, where we're located with the racetracks and the events that happen, it was just an opportunity to really collaborate and get a little bit more amplification on us, get some good synergy, some PR, and what better ways than to come out and meet the fans and have some drivers here right at our dealership, real close by. So Rachel brought that to me, and then we just kind of worked towards the event as we got here, and then here we are on Friday, finishing up the last session of the Friday, and then we'll have the Millbridge crew out tomorrow, some youngins out driving. So it's been an exciting opportunity for Camping World. The next gens, right? Exactly. So that's kind of how it came out, and then we just kind of put it together from there.
Well, that's the great part too. And by the way, guys at home that are watching this is not Guy Fieri. He might look like Guy Fieri. It is not Guy Fieri. So he's also an excellent golf cart driver. He actually came and picked us up from over there. Thank you. You saved the fat man's life. I would have died if I had to walk all the way from over there. But no, this is awesome because one of the biggest things with NASCAR has always been getting it in front of the fans, the fan access. And we get a lot of these drivers. Steve Park, for instance, hasn't been in a car for a very long time, but he's still a very well-known part of the NASCAR family. And now we're bringing him out for the fans. They're able to come meet him, talk with them down there, get signatures and things from them. So, I applaud y'all for what y'all did here. This is awesome. I think it's going to grow more and more each year. It's always those growing pains. COVID ruined a lot of things.
Right.
And like I said, it was downtown before. It really didn't make much sense because uptown, I guess is what they call it.
Right.
And I don't know about y'all, but I'm from the country. I don't like going uptown.
Me neither.
So this is awesome because, literally, we've been coming to the track since, when did we start coming here?
14 or 15,
yeah, 2014, 2015.
10 years.
Camping right over there.
Right.
And now all of a sudden, the drivers and guys here just to sign things. So, thank y'all for that. And I hope that this is something that we can continue to do from year to year, if that's something that's in the cards.
Hey, look, from our end, we would love to be a part of this moving forward. We've talked about the fall race coming up, doing some stuff there. Obviously, next year, we'll be back in the saddle. A lot to learn from your maiden voyage, so to speak, kickoff event. Like you guys said, bringing the race fans back up to the drivers. That's what it's all about. I overheard you all a little earlier talking about the landscape of NASCAR and how it's changed with the personalities. And, it's just like, I just remember when I was real fever into it, you had, good versus evil. You had the good guys, the bad guys. You had personalities. You had characters.
Yeah.
You just had storyline after storyline. I think a lot of that was because the drivers were accessible, right? The stories were accessible. They were part of the fiber. Everybody could relate at some point to a lot of the drivers because there was an intimacy there, right?
For sure.
It'd be nice to see us get back to that. I think the fans would love that. And I think a lot of drivers would too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes I think logistics get in the way and PR teams and advertising and all the money game gets in the way. And then really the people that get hurt are the drivers and the fans at the end of the
100%.
day, right? The ones that really make this thing go around, if you really think about it, the drivers driving, the fans showing up at the tracks.
100%.
So, from my perspective, if we can get partnerships involved where we can help that, that movement, so to speak, with the NASCAR to come back, and you can see some of the fevers for the fans, right?
Yeah.
The 2,600 RV slots sold out this week. 2,600 and a half mile, right? I reached out to Mike Jones, our vice president of sales over at Charlotte Motor Speedway, for a couple grandstand tickets, right? I said, hey, just dirt stands off to the left. Don't care where it's at. Just hook me up. Can I get 2 tickets? He emailed me back and said, hey, Trace, we'd love to. There's nothing. Right? So obviously the fans are here. We're pivoting and turning. And I think what we're doing here, you guys coming out, the podcast, we just got to get the messaging out and continue. But I think you guys, see what I see, and that's, let's get the drivers and the fans together, move out the junk, and let them mingle a little bit, because that's going to create, I think, the synergy that we need to really move the needle in the sport and really get people to feel like they're a part of it again.
Yeah,
We're kind of rebuilding at this point. As soon as COVID hit and NASCAR said, let's limit practice to 20-minute sessions and It's all one-day events and everything. Fortunately, in the Charlotte area, the drivers live here, so they can come out when it's not race day. But think about it when we're in Indianapolis or something like that. The drivers, they're not around until race day. They come in for practice and then they go home. They don't stay in the buses or whatever. So the drivers have lost some of that accessibility, like
Right.
you said, and we're again trying to rebuild this.
Yes. Yes. I just think on the strength of what we're here, the feedback that we've got,
Yeah.
I think that'll start to hopefully reverberate with the PR teams and the other decision makers. And they say, hey, what a great opportunity for us to slide in for a half hour right next to the track, right?
Yeah.
And so we're hoping that this is just the beginning of a much larger opportunity, and we can all grow together and help the track, help the fans, help the drivers, and be a part of something a little bigger than ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, just the traffic to be able to get in here. You try to get into the stand, like obviously they do drivers over at the merch haulers, but where do you park? Then you got to walk. You can literally drive right up and park right over there. You know, Gerald, who was on the show at the beginning, he parked literally right up front. These people that are walking up right now are either in the camping right there. I've seen a couple of them parked over here, a couple of them parked right there. Like,
yes,
you don't have to walk a mile. You can be right here with the drivers and enjoy your time. So that's awesome. I think it's only going to get bigger, like I said. Obviously, this is our first year doing something like this too. So I've learned some things now for if we get to this again next year, things that we can do to improve ourselves and do better, make it bigger for us as well.
Well, we'd love to be a part of what you guys are doing in the future. We'd love to have you back and get involved and stay involved with us and be a part of what you guys are doing and the message that you are putting together. We'd love to be a part of that as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep.
But all right. So let's talk about real quick before you go. How long have you been a race fan?
Yeah. So I actually started watching NASCAR back in the 80s. I really latched on to Ernie Irvan. And, he was my OG driver with the patch, Swerving Irvin.
Yeah.
And, I was just the anti-junior guy. I mean, Earnhardt Sr., my bad.
Yeah.
I was just the the other guy.
Yeah.
You always got, not everybody can have the same favorite driver, right?
Exactly.
So I got on with Ernie Irvan. So, at 50 years old, I'd say 35 years ago is when I started.
Awesome.
And then we had a little local NHR driver named Hal Hoffman from my hometown, Al Hoffman. And that kind of stimulated a little bit of my racing desire, even though that was in the drags. And it just kept me locked into NASCAR. And then literally just followed it along. Jeff Bodine was another one that I really thought a lot of and rooted for. And then as my fandom kind of went along, I was a big Gordon guy. I actually was in a restaurant as a server when him and his family came in and served it when he was first getting in. And it was weird how that happened, but then I started following him, and obviously Jeff is a great guy to follow.
Oh, yeah.
If you like winners,
Yes,
I do. I like following winners.
Yeah.
I admit it. So it was,
The bandwagon.
it was a great run. Yes, it was a great run. But like you guys, with a lot of the new people that are in doing stuff, and then one of my teammates, she actually works in our department. Her husband is the car chief for John Hunter Nemechek. So right here in Camping World, he's the car chief. And so we talk NASCAR a lot because of the John Hunter connection inside these walls with her and her husband. And just a big fan from the distance, and being a part of Camping World in the last 3 years, giving an opportunity, obviously, to get closer to the racetracks. And then get up a little bit up close and personal. And, hey, I got to meet Jeff Bodine yesterday. I was totally amped up. Got a selfie picture with that, man. It's on my bucket list for sure. Got a chance to chit chat with him. Do that up on my Facebook page as well. And I had some fun with that.
You got to, and it's awesome because whenever they told me we were going to be following Larry Mack and then Steve Parker should be at the same table with us, I'm sitting there like I'm a kid again.
Yes.
Again. But awesome. So for those, if they want to reach out and they need anything from Camping World from this location, where do they go? Do you have a phone number? How do they contact here for their sales or basically any needs? I mean, the showroom behind us is awesome. There's a bunch of stuff in there. I walked in there. Not only is it great for the AC, but there is a ton of stuff. Basically everything you can need. I mean, we have a school bus that we've converted to a camper. So I wish we would have, made our shopping list here because the Lowe's isn't as good as all the stuff I saw in there. So make sure y'all come by, check it out. We're right here next to the track, Concord. What's the number?
So you can get us at 704-850-5445. Also online at campingworld.com/Concord. That'll get you to the location here. There are 212 stores in our family all over the country. Once you buy from one store, you're a family member at all. But we certainly would love to have you come out to Camping World of Concord for sure to see us out here. So online or a phone call. We've got over 400 RVs on the ground here to choose from, and it's making deals. That's what we do. The message is just let's get some people out there finding fun, freedom, and adventure, and be a part of that story.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you for joining us. Really happy to have you on. And again, thanks for the drive because I would not have made it.
Thank you so much, guys. My pleasure. All right.
Appreciate it.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Yep.
All right, so we're gonna get ready here for looks like the drivers are starting to wind down for their side. So let's talk a little bit real quick about the picks for who we think are gonna win the Cook Center. Well, obviously right now we've seen qualifying for Xfinity. We actually quit that to come over here, but we got some racing going. So let's get all three picks real quick since you're still sitting with us.
Yes.
Who you have winning? Guess first.
Yeah. So I mean, for me, I'm gonna take an outlier here, and I'm gonna pick Ross Chastain. Just something off the cuff. Just feel like maybe a little chip on the shoulder, and maybe the 600 sets up well. So I think if they run well qualifying, I'm gonna put my eggs in Ross Chastain basket.
Well, it's funny that you said the mentality of the comeback kid almost. I'm going with Busher because I'm pretty sure there is definitely a chip on his shoulder too. Obviously, he's had two races where it felt like he definitely would have won or could have won, and obviously he got beat by, the closest race in NASCAR history. Yeah, NASCAR history. And by the way, if you go to Hendrick Motorsports in the museum, they literally have the nose from Kyle Larson's car in the museum with a picture and everything of it. I'm like,
How much was it?
it wasn't for sale. They just put it out there for everyone to look at and all the Busher fans to cry about. It's very upsetting. Not very well. But I'm going to go with Chris Busher. I really think it's just time. Ford has been on a hot streak. Ford, to start the year, obviously, they were worrying. There was a lot of problems going on with the Ford camp. And I really think they have picked it up. I think they're moving in the right direction. And RFK lately has been on fire.
Yeah, I think you could argue RFK's been the best Ford team.
Oh, 100%. Well, you got literally it's RFK, Stuart Haas, which might not be Stuart Haas for very much longer. And then all of a sudden you have Penske. And I don't think anyone would ever call that. So who do you got, Andy?
I'm going out on a little limb here.
Here we go again.
I'm gonna say Kyle Larson.
Oh, big change.
And the reason I'm gonna say this is because I think Indianapolis is gonna get rained out.
Oh, yeah.
So it's gonna give him an advantage. It's gonna give him an advantage where he doesn't have to.
You too. Well, thank you.
I think it's gonna give him an advantage that way he doesn't have to think about Indy and everything. Go straight into 600, and then if Indy's on Monday, he's gonna go out there and put on a show too.
Yeah,
Either any of the three.
that would be an incredible story,
Yeah,
guys,
that would
right?
be. That's why I want it, because it would be an awesome story for what he's already doing.
Yeah.
We got Indy fans tuning in to NASCAR. We got NASCAR fans tuning in to Indy. We always watch it every single year when we're here, but got a little extra incentive to watch this show. For sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna step out. Let
Thank you,
the
sir.
talent come in here. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah,
thanks for being here.
Thank you, sir.
We look forward to the
Appreciate
future
it.
collaborations.
Awesome. Get on in. Right here? Yes, sir. Take a seat on down. I got the microphone right here on the side of my head. It'll pick up everything. Okay. So, I know I'm sitting here right now and I'm like, the kid in me is coming out again right now. I think, was it last year? The guy that you work with actually gave us one of the koozies from way back.
I've got some retro Steve Pinsville koozies at the house. The big old fat ones, the big foamy.
Yeah.
They don't make them like that anymore.
They don't make them like that. They make them paper thin now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but it was a lot of great times with Pennzoil and a lot of stuff that we had made that like today we see the fans come back out with. It's remarkable to me that I retired in like 2007.
Yeah.
And then there's people wanting me to come out and still do autographs, and there's actually people that come out that want to get stuff signed.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
That's what I was talking with Chase over there. And I was like, just because you're no longer every week in the sport racing, there's still a lot of fans that's what they remember. That's what they grew up on.
Yeah.
And we hold on to our drivers, our old school drivers. We might make a new driver, but we always remember who our first driver was, and we always like to follow them.
And that's why even with the new generation that's been coming up the last 10, 20 years, you know, they're picking new guys too. They might have liked a Dale Earnhardt, and now like a Chase Elliott or something.
Yeah.
What you see is an allegiance with the manufacturers.
Yeah.
You know, you don't really see like a Chevy guy that grew up a Chevy guy switch to a Ford driver,
Right.
or vice versa.
Yeah.
So it tells you why the manufacturers are still involved in it.
Oh yeah.
Because people do care.
Yeah.
Right now, with the cars being as equal as they are.
Yeah.
Um,
Parity racing.
the only thing you can do to tell them apart is by just look for a blue oval or a Chevrolet or Toyota.
Yeah. I mean, they made a really good point. I don't know if you listened to DBC, Brett and them over at Dirty Mo.
Yeah.
They were talking about, you know, back in the day, how you knew your driver. And like you just named the driver, you could name their sponsor.
Yeah.
Because it was that one car, one sponsor almost the entire year. And so now with it not being that, you're right. You can only know by basically watching the TV, watching the pieces, and keeping up with these drivers where they're moving to. And then you hope you can remember what car they're traveling that week.
You know, it's funny. It started probably 10 years ago or so when I was starting to get out of the sport. Multiple sponsors. And I can't tell you how many fans that I've met that were so mad about that, because you know you'd spend $300 on a Jeff Gordon jacket. Well, he ran the same color, but Carl Edwards or any of the guys that would change their paint scheme mid-season, they'd show up to the race with their hat and their jacket on, and then it was like, oh man, what happened? Now it's totally different.
Like the Kyle Busch fans a couple years ago with M&M's, that's all he ran.
Yeah.
You could recognize that car, but now, you know, Richard Childress and everything, you know, he's got 7 different primaries. It seems like. So,
but that's where the sport's evolved too,
Yeah.
because now when you could race with one sponsor amount of money, now you need 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Well, depending on how much you're getting. So,
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because they've obviously been talking a lot about lately, you know, the race teams and these charter deals, and how this is about to change up with the TV deal and the teams needing more money. And you know, I don't know where you stand on this, but I'm pro teams need more money, because I'd love for them to be able to pick drivers that just don't have deep pockets because of who's sponsoring them behind them, but actually go for quality drivers that might not have that money.
well, see, you know, you hit the nail on the head, because just a few years back, 10 years back, when all these teams are having such a hard time keeping sponsors, getting sponsorship, the cost of the sport was going up.
Yeah.
They started bringing on multiple paint schemes, multiple sponsors. But it confuses the race fan.
Yeah.
Or disappoints them more so than years ago when somebody bought an expensive jacket and a hat and a T-shirt, and you show up to the race for your favorite driver, and also like, why is he in a red car instead of a blue car?
Yeah. Well, and I'm going to use the example of, I don't know if you got to watch Talladega, but you have Josh Berry and Noah Gragson both running an overstock car.
Yeah.
How does that make sense? And then there's also multiple other cars with red schemes during that same time. It as a fan, like, we were at the race. I'm sitting there watching it, and even me, I have to double take, wait, is that the 10 or is that the 4? Like, they didn't even try to reverse the schemes to make it different. And RFK, obviously, they also they run Castrol, they run like they have some same sponsors, but they don't run the same one the same weekend.
But getting to the point, like you said, it'd be nice. You know, the sport has grown so much, and the purses for the races have not kept up. So, you know, the teams are making a little bit more money, but they're not making the money they need to go racing.
Yeah.
And they're having a hard time getting and keeping sponsors. You know, and now with, you know, this was prior to like the TV deal. Now with the TV deal and all the money that's being thrown into the sport through TV and everything else they got going on. I kind of agree with some of these teams that are boisterous about trying to get a little bit more of a purpose.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, especially because, I mean, NASCAR's, they're not publicly held anymore, but it's a situation where, you know, if I own a business and I'm making money, I want to make sure my employees own it.
Yeah.
You know, because
the betterment of the
happy
employee.
employees, I mean, if they work really hard to make you money, you know, you want to share the wealth. Even if it doesn't have to be 50%, it could be another 10%.
you think about these pit crews nowadays too. Like they're busting off 9.8 or 8.9 second pit stops nowadays. Like 10, 15 years ago, back when you're driving, that's unheard of. And so like these guys, they're the best of the best athletes, and they should be paid for it and everything. And when that gets factored into the bills and everything that these teams have to pay for, if they're not getting some reimbursement back from NASCAR from these deals or whatnot, these guys are putting on a show.
That's where it started too with the when race teams and owners started figuring out that the faster your pit stop was, the more it's easy to pass people in the pits than it is on the racetrack.
Yeah.
So you get a very well-funded team, and they bring in retired athletes, baseball, NFL, football players, and then start whipping everybody's butt on pit road. So now in order to keep up, what you got to do is another team owner. You got to do the same thing. You got to go out and hire retired athletes, just like you were saying. So that, again, drove the cost of the sport up if you want to be competitive.
Yeah, but they haven't been compensated for that. So it's making it only harder and harder. The teams haven't. The tracks haven't. One of the things that Denny Hamlin has said was, he hasn't really seen where the money had gone back to all the tracks. Some of the tracks that he's been to, you could tell where the reinvestment was. I could tell you, we do infield camping. We always do Charlotte. We always do Atlanta. We've done Daytona. We've done Talladega. We've gone to Bristol. Obviously, there's no infield camping there. Darlington. And there is vast differences from track to track that you go to. So if the money's not going to the teams, the money's going to the track, why isn't the track keeping up with the times and using that money? And that's the part that angers me as a fan the most.
Yeah, and then and like I said, the stadiums or the racetracks are where the fans spend most of their time.
Yeah.
So again, with the tracks getting a part of the TV money and NASCAR getting a part of the TV money and the teams getting a part of it, just like you said, it's about time some of these tracks maybe step up and give the fan a better experience, which in turn I think would bring the fan back to that track.
Yeah, 100%. So we've talked a lot about nowadays and what's going on right now. Let's take a step back into you and your career real quick. So what is your favorite racing moment that you got to have in your pretty well storied career?
Yeah, probably my first win. Everybody always remembers their first win. But, have Dale Earnhardt come to victory lane.
Yeah.
And just grab you around the neck, wrestle you around a little bit, and say, "Good job, I'll see you home." And it's one of my favorite memories.
Yeah.
And then my second win was right after Dale died. So you missed him coming to victory lane. I mean, and you have this thing in the back of your mind that you're always looking over your shoulder, waiting for him to come.
Yeah.
And the realization that he was lost the week before that, I think kind of affected the whole sport.
Oh, 100%.
I think that win started the healing for our race team, for the race fans.
Yeah.
Because when Dale was gone, nobody knew what was going to happen with PI. We're able to come back and show that we're still strong. We can still win races.
Yes.
And give the fans something to cheer.
Yeah, 100. I mean, and that's huge because the sport had such a big blow when that happened. And I remember, obviously, I was a kid back then. I was a little kid back then, but I remember watching it. Jeff Gordon was who I was always pledged to. But Dale Earnhardt back then, I was like, I didn't really understand the sport. And even me then, I felt the difference that next week. I felt how things had changed and how it was no longer the same. And then you go still to this day, we hold up the three. Still to this day, they do the threes down the entire scoreboard, score pylon. If they still have a score pylon, hopefully they keep it. But I mean, it's a huge loss. And that win of yours that you talk about, it started that healing process. Just like when Kevin Harvick brought home that victory too, I think that was also a big piece of the healing process.
That was part of healing for RCR, losing Dale.
Yeah.
The fans, again, so elated. I was elated. That everything. You got to remember that it all surrounds around one name, Dale Earnhardt.
Yep.
It was his car, his team, and then it was the team that he owned.
Yeah.
But he drove for another team.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was huge. Another favorite thing I have is have a picture in my man cave And it's me leading Daytona, Michael Waltrip on the outside, Dale Jr. behind me, and Earnhardt behind him. And I'm like, and the thing is when you show people that picture, you're like, what was he thinking at that moment?
Yeah.
With his 3 cars, even though he didn't drive for his team.
Yeah.
But he must have been a proud dad, proud owner.
Yeah.
You know, just be like, you know what? These 3 guys are out front.
Yeah.
Well, they're supposed to be.
Yeah. And, you know, it's, you talk about that, and even in my mind, I'm like, man, to even think about those 3 guys being on the track at the same time again, it's just, it's awesome. And it's, y'all did so much for the sport that we wouldn't be where we are today in this sport if it wasn't for the guys like y'all.
Well, I appreciate that, but you know, it was the guys before me and the guys before them.
Yep.
I grew up watching, you know, Bobby Allison was one of my favorite drivers, Richard Petty, Kelly Arbro. You know, the names have just gone on and on. Buddy Baker.
Yeah.
You know, so that's a generation that I watched. I said, man, I wish I could just get to that level.
Yeah.
And win, because then you beat Richard Petty. You know, and it's impossible. You think about it as a kid, when you're racing locally at the short track in New York, and you say, you know, man, I'd like to run the Daytona 500 or win a Winston Cup race. And if you did, you beat all the guys. And just be able to achieve that, it's a lifelong journey. I think, you know, and it's so funny. I won my first race when I was like 32 years old.
Yeah.
And I really thought I'd have a career like Harry Gant until 50. You don't see that. Now they're coming in at 18 and gone 40.
Yeah.
So
They
it's
said somewhere it's like the optimal age now is like 38. Like,
yeah.
I feel like the optimal age is when you stop winning.
Yeah. Well, that's, you know, you look at Kevin Harvick. He went out and win.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he just like, you know what? I got another opportunity, and you know, he's not going to do a Darrell Waltrip and try to extend his career where, you know, Darrell Waltrip was probably one of the best NASCAR guys you've ever seen back in his day. And then the race fans, you know, 2-3 generations afterwards think Darrell Waltrip's the guy that runs around the back.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you learn about his career. He's one of the best.
Yeah.
Kind of like Richard Petty himself.
Yeah.
Like he won 200 races. He's the king for the reason, but you know, he ran many seasons.
Yeah.
Wins.
Yeah.
So
that's why you always savor the win, because you know you're first for about 6 hours, and then now you're thinking about the next race.
Yeah, true.
You know, so you know, and then you can finish 10th. So you can go from first to 10th to third to first to 15th. You know, so it's a wild sport, and you gotta have some pretty tough guys to get through.
Well, I got one last question for you before I let you go. Thank you for joining us again. So, you know, I believe, let's see, your last Cup Series win was at the Rockingham. So, obviously, there's been a lot of rumors coming out that the Rock could be coming back. What do you think about that?
I think it should. I mean, my thought is that 1.5 D-shaped oval, we have plenty. You know, that became the norm.
Yeah.
They started building Kansas and all the new tracks, and they built them identical. You know, big, you know, 1.5 D-shaped oval.
Yeah.
Packed with grandstands. Well, now we're taking grandstands down and starting to go to more road courses, which I think is good. It's good for television, because if you go to a road race like Watkins Glen and you camp in the infield, you see one straightaway of 15 turns.
Yep.
So it makes it a little difficult from a spectator sport.
Yeah, we know that from we're right there at the, I think it's turn 13 when it's the Roval.
yeah, can't even tell you.
Yeah, so like we're literally like we can only see when they come out of that back chicane and they're going 3 and 4 and then they disappear again. We can't see them again for the rest
So
of
you
it.
just turn back and watch the TV.
Watch the
So-
TV.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what's good about some of these tracks is the big TV monitors in the infield. But that's just the way the sport has evolved. I think Brooke Smith was one of the first ones to put that big screen, and again, you can see the whole race at Charlotte.
Yeah.
But it's always nice to be able to look up
The
at
short
screen
track.
and
Yeah.
and
Like
see
the
what's going on.
North Wilkesboro thing we had last week. Like all the drivers talk about, like Like it's a different feel. Like you feel like the crowd is on top of you versus like just being in the race. So,
You know, just like places like Richmond.
Yeah.
You know, talking about moving to Richmond.
Yeah.
So much, it's such good racing, and the fans love it. And it's just like you were saying, we never addressed it, but bringing Rocky back. When I was driving full time, I used to love the hard tracks, the worn out tracks where you had to manage your tires. You know, sometimes had to manage your speed. And I tell you, you know, like Rockingham, we won there, and I struggled when I first started going there. And then Dale would come over and talk to me in the pits and be like, listen, I'm going to go out on pit road. And I'm going to wait for you. And then you follow me. Let me show you how to get there. And I did. And I was like all geared up. I'm going to chase him down, you know. And next thing you know, he lets off the gas like 3/4 way down straightaway. I almost run into the back, but I'm on the brakes trying to get the car slowed down. And now he goes from one car to 2 cars ahead of me.
Yeah.
And then I'm catching back up to him in the draft. And all of a sudden, he just lets off the gas on the straightaway. And I almost run into the back of him again. Now he's 3 cars away. So, you know, what he had told me, he said, you know what? This track is so worn out. Tires are good for 10 laps. Do everything you can to preserve your tires. He said, lift early. Don't use the brakes. Just let the car roll into the corner. You know, and it worked. So, won the race.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't that year, but I'd be able to come back. And then once I figured it out, you hear drivers saying all the time, I've been here a long time. I finally figured it out.
Yeah.
Another quick story that a lot of people don't know is we were in the Bahamas on Dale's boat, and we're on vacation, and another big boat came in next to us.
Yeah.
And it was Rusty Wallace at least. And so when Dale found out Rusty Wallace was coming in like a day or so, we took wheelbarrow full. We opened the case of Budweiser. And we took the wheelbarrow and we dumped it onto his bed in his boat, you know, and he picked Miller Lite out.
Yeah.
And then he Rusty was so funny. You knew when he came in because all you heard across the rain was, and then we laughed because we're having dinner together. And we were talking about Bristol. Another place that takes a little bit to get used to, get a groove in it. And Rusty was talking about what right front spring he ran, and you know this left rear spring that we always run there every time we go, and this is how you need to drop the track, and you need the car to do this. And him and Dale are talking. So I'm a rookie in the Nationwide series, so I'm listening, and they must have thought I had a kidney problem because I go to the bathroom all the time. But I go to the bathroom because I had a damn napkin, and I was writing down all these notes of what Rusty was talking about because he was the king of Bristol for the longest time.
Yeah.
We go back there and sat on the pole. Got the pole for the race, finished 5th or 7th. That's awesome. But that's, you know, even Dale always said he's always be like, keep your mouth shut, listen, keep your ears open.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Pretty cool stuff.
That's awesome. Well, every time I hear a prank that Dale Sr. has done, it's just his prank. You can't replicate it. I mean, there will never ever be another Dale Sr.
Yeah. He was smart as a whip. I remember him telling stories about like leaning into Tim Richmond's car at the start of the race, and he had a water bottle. He would dump the water bottle into his lap. See, and nobody knows this, but the inside of the cars, the seats get so hot. Yeah, you don't want moisture in the seat because you boil.
Oh yeah.
You know? Yeah. So Tim Richmond's all strapped in and stuff. Dale goes over and wishes him good luck and dumps his water bottle on his lap. You know? So we used to drill holes in our seat, little weep holes.
Yeah.
Because if you had a water bottle and you started to siphon and it emptied the water bottle in your lap, at least it could
Give some
dissipate.
Gotcha. So
Good time.
I really appreciate having you on, and you know, it's awesome. It's brings me back to being a little kid again.
Yeah.
So
I could feel old now.
I could listen to your Earnhardt stories. I could listen to all your stories all day long. I love the Earnhardt stories. What Dale Jr. does, get people on and tell them those stories, are kind of hidden stories.
things that people don't know.
Yeah, it's great for us because we grew up watching 90s and 2000s NASCAR, so we we were 11, 12 years old when Dale died, and it was rough. And to hear these stories and everything, to kind of learn.
Yeah.
when
Lives
you're
on.
Still kind of kids.
The legend will live forever.
Yes,
100%.
absolutely.
And, that's the kind of impact he had made in
Yeah.
the sport. And you might have known it, or you might not have known it, but when he passed, it was like Elvis passed.
Yeah.
The whole world.
Yeah.
And you just, that's when you really realize what an impact he had on us.
Yeah.
It's probably pretty awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. Thank you for coming out. Thanks for taking the time with us.
Hey, not a problem. Good
Really
talk.
appreciate it. Hopefully we get to meet you again, talk with you again. Because this was fun. Like you said, I could keep asking you questions for days. But thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
All right, guys. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Steve.
All right, you're welcome.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Steve, do you mind if we get a picture with you real quick?
I don't mind.
Yes. Can you take the photo for us? Can you do it from?
Sure. Yes.
Yeah.
Three, two, one.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you
Hey,
so much.
no
I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you so much.
Guys, anytime.
Thank you.
Take care of
Yeah, big boy.
Good one, man. All right, guys. Keep up the good work.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
All right, you want to end it there?
Let's see if Shauna wants to talk real quick, and then we'll end it right there. I know we're getting a little close on time.
That was awesome.
I still can't believe that just happened. Yeah. Yeah, that's freaking awesome. The fact that happened,
Living legend too. He may not admit it, but
I still cannot believe that just happened.
yo, what up, Dakota? You still in here, buddy?
So we got some people in here. We're over an hour and a half already. Woo. This one's definitely rolling. Matt Rose, best looking dudes in the game. Andy's got the second best mustache.
Absolutely.
Yeah, come on over. We got Shauna coming in, Shauna Robinson.
Hey,
How's
how
it
are
going?
you?
Hey, how are you?
Doing good. This is Andy. I'm David.
Hey, Andy.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. David.
Nice to
Nice to meet you.
So we are Fascar Living. If you haven't heard, this is our buddy Chuck,
Hey, Chuck. Nice to meet you.
Jersey Charles.
Jersey Chuck.
Jersey Charles. He's from Jersey. He loves Jersey, so that's why he's Jersey Charles.
Oh, look, we got a little.
Yeah, you can see. So you can see exactly what the people are seeing.
Wow.
So we're doing a little bit of it's a live podcast, but then it also goes on YouTube, where people watch it back and then they can see all the different things. But so glad you could be with us today. Thank you for coming
Thanks.
out. So let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Let's go on with where did you get your start, and what inspired you to become who you are?
Or who I was, or who I am,
You
or who I'm going to be from
Yeah.
here. Who knows?
all the above. All the above.
I grew up in the Midwest. Not that that really had anything to do with the whole reason of racing.
There's
But
a lot of big
but my-
racers that come from out there.
yeah, my dad he drove late model stock cars in Iowa, and he drove USAC and traveled the Wisconsin, Pocono, all around there. And so as a little girl, I'm the youngest of five, and I mean we grew up with always having my dad also was a truck wholesale dealer, so he would buy and sell trucks, and so the wheeler dealer that he was, you never know what he was going to come home with. At one point, my brother had one of those cars that the wheels flipped up and it could go turned into a boat.
Oh, that's cool.
If only he owned it now. If only
Yeah, well,
we
say-
owned all the things that came in and out of our driveway now.
When you look at what
I
things
could
are worth
sponsor
now.
somebody now.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
But no, we always had I always had the little Honda 50. My sisters had SL 75. We grew up like knowing how to do that, and then my dad started promoting at the Iowa State Fairgrounds, and that's about the same time that I was getting ready to graduate high school. And I was very much into horses. Younger, like always wanted to be a barrel racer or a jockey or something in that route.
Yeah.
And then my dad started traveling with a touring series.
Mhm.
So instead of just running the Iowa Fairgrounds every Saturday night, he
Started
would
going
go
around.
to different tracks.
Gotcha.
And I went to go help him with the marketing. And the first race we went to, I unloaded the trucks from the truck, flatbed truck from the flatbed trailer, and I just sit down there at Toledo Speedway, and just ran a few hot laps. I used to pack the track at the fairgrounds on the dirt track.
That's awesome.
So it just basically comes from that history.
Yeah.
But at the time when I graduated and I went to help him, then of course being the promoter that he was, being 18 and like, oh well, he knew that if he said, "Oh, you got out there with the other trucks, it's scary, you wouldn't be able to do it." Well, he knew exactly what he was doing because it was a dare. So that's how it
You had to go show
happened. That's really how it happened. And for a year, I ran for my dad and helped marketing and learned a lot on that life. But it really took that. That was in 1983, and then 84 is when I was like, okay, is this for real? Am I really going to do this? And then making that decision, we bought a bigger, faster truck that was made to run on speedways and short tracks. It was called the Gator Series at that time.
Okay.
So I started in 84. I won at Milwaukee. First one ever to win on a speedway in any motorsports at that time.
Awesome.
And then the trucks I continued to run, and then my sights were always on NASCAR, always on, American circuit track. It's kind of like what I grew up with. I wasn't really big into the road racing thing.
Yeah.
Sprint cars and
IMSAs
and all that was
IROC.
my childhood. So I wanted to kind of keep that route.
Yeah.
And then that's when I started up in the NASCAR Dash Series, which at the time Davey Allison came from.
Gotcha.
Michael Waltrip ran it. A lot of the up and coming at that point.
Yeah.
Went through that, kind of like ARCA is now.
Yeah.
And I ran the Dash Series, and then went into the Busch Series, kind of limited, back and forth, and then just continued with that, and then ARCA, some Cup, some Busch, and that's kind of how it all happened.
Yeah. So definitely a very good career, a long career, right?
Not long enough, but at the same
Not long
time, I
enough,
can't have regrets, because after in 2005, when I was just at a point where the team I was signed with they weren't prepared to put race cars on the track that weren't going to be anything but a start park, and that's not what I wanted to do.
You wanted to compete.
Was not worth the situation doing it, and so I kind of chose to step back and try to find sponsorship. And at the time, my kids were getting a little older, and ball games and stuff like that were a lot more important than being in a race car that was ever going to see the white flag, let alone the checkered one. So, but the world changed after. I mean, the racing world changed after that, because social media came in. 10 years later, it took 21 years for me to be the second woman to start the Daytona 500. Janet Guthrie was the first. 21 years. And then 10 years after me was Danica. Which that's crazy when you think about it. And still, since Danica, we're going to get close to 10 before too long.
I wanted to
before
ask
we
you
see it.
that you were one of 3 women to run the Daytona 500. We have no women in the Cup Series. There's some perspectives on the horizon. We've got Haley Deegan in the Xfinity Series now. We have Natalie Decker running some races and everything. Jennifer Jo Cobb's run for a while. Who knows how she's going to work out.
I think there's a lot of up and comers coming too.
There's a lot of up and comers coming that I think you're going to see more so than who's now Haley. That I think the pressure that she's probably had under her because of her background, and there's no question she's a racer. But it takes a while to get into the comfort zone at this level. And I think the best thing that she's doing is running consistently, and that's what I've always said. For anybody that's out there, it's better that you stay at your home track. If you're winning, don't be all eager to jump up and not have the right situation. Stay where you are and win races. And Haley had the opportunity to move in and obviously get good, consistent deals. So I hope to see some consistency coming in her finishes. But I think you're seeing a lot of that a lot of us don't even know that are going to come
I think there's some good
from
ones
out
in
of
the
the blue,
pipeline.
they're gonna knock her socks off, and I think that's gonna happen.
Do you think NASCAR and the sport as a whole has done a good job trying to diversify as far as not only just different ethnicities, but
Yes.
as far as like bringing women in and trying to get women into NASCAR, even if it's
I
in the lower
don't
ranks?
I don't think that they've rolled out the red carpet
Yeah.
for women, which you don't expect them to.
Yeah.
I think the whole concept of the diversity program has helped, and I mean, look what you're seeing with. But what it takes is somebody like Justin Marks. It's gonna
Take
put
that gamble.
yeah, it's gonna
The
put
gamble and the patience to
Yeah.
develop. So
that's
put the
gonna
name
have
on
the smarts to know if they've got talent, or if you give them the opportunity,
They
they're
can do
gonna
something
take
with
it and run.
Yeah.
And it takes owners like it takes owners, it takes teammates that believe. And so many times, even with Danica coming in with open arms from NASCAR and open arms from
the fan
the
base.
foundation, the Tony Stewart, or the teams, or the cars, it still isn't an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
And I
a lot,
mean,
a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Just the spotlight.
Yeah.
And that's
There
before
was
they even start
multiple
the car.
women. There's multiple women, I think, at once racing in the sport, in the Cup Series or whatever. I think it would kind of alleviate to where you weren't just focusing on the one woman that is racing.
yeah, and I think that's what I feel like happens a lot is all the attention goes to the fact that she's a woman.
Instead
more
of just
so
she's a
than-
racer.
Yeah, just it's more so than the racer, right? But not that I'm taking away from that either, because that helps. In a way, it helps you get a sponsor, get sponsorship. As long as I always try to say, if we are competitive and if we show that we have the ability, they're going to come to us.
Yeah.
Everything's going to come
Yeah.
our way. But if you throw me out there like, oh, this is the driver, da 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 da, and you don't back it up with the equipment, then what are you accomplishing?
Yeah.
And
I think that's
that
a
was
big
a
thing.
hard point to get across a lot of times.
And I think that's a big point because the equipment is such a big piece of it that she can sit there and run in a truck like with the truck team she was with last year. The rest of the team is running really well, and she's not. It's not the same equipment. It's not the same money going into every single ride as what each one of them is. And if they're not investing in her to give her the proper equipment to succeed, there's no way for her to succeed. And with this Xfinity team that she is with now, it's their first year in operation. And so I think all the people that came out and were like, "Hey, she's going to win blank money races this year. Or she's gonna run in the top 5 for every race." They're setting these unrealistic goals, and it's making it harder for her in the future because if they think that they have to come in and almost win right away, it's impossible.
Yeah.
You can't do
It's
that.
hard for anybody to do that. I don't,
That's other than SVG at the road course, but that was catered to his type of racing.
Yeah.
So that's obviously different. But yeah, I mean, obviously it's setting inspirations for others, setting inspiration for the up and comers. Like you said, there's a lot of them coming up. So is there anyone that you have your eye on right now as far as you think is going to be that next best thing?
Honestly, I follow so many of them, the younger girls.
Yeah.
At one point a few years ago, I really thought Joanna Long was going to be one to come in and make things happen. I just don't think she ever got that support.
She never got the money.
The money.
That's
to
the
do
problem.
it. You're seeing a lot, like now Daytona ARCA race. What was it, 6 or 7 people in it last year?
Yeah.
I think that's a good indicator for it. I think that Billy Venturini's got the handle on putting good race cars out there, and he knows how to bring in the sponsorships and I don't necessarily see the talent in any of them running full-time ARCA right now that are going to get to that next step unless they start winning.
Yeah.
Or getting close to it, or I do think they're good.
Yeah.
But it just takes. I think that she's probably, and honestly I just went blank on her name, but
you're good.
The little USAC. She runs USAC midgets, and she just won.
Kaylee Bryson.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
And I couldn't think of who.
Yeah.
But again,
That's a big one that I think is going to.
that's kind of the whole. And I think that seat of the pants learning that she's getting.
Yeah.
by running that type of a car and running. I mean, heck, I went from 8,000-pound trucks, but nobody realizes it. But they were fast. They weren't like lawnmowers, motors out there. I mean, they were fast. And I ran all types of racetracks, and I think that's what helped me make the transition to quickly adapt to a track. I was never a track champion, but I won in NASCAR right out of the box of getting into the dash cars.
Yeah.
And competitive in Busch, but again, I think that was consistency of not having that full-time ride, having that
it's hard to get
gelled team.
Yeah, it's hard to get into a rhythm, right? And that's what you need when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it's so hard to say. I mean, I can't say that I wish I could have gone back, but I don't live that way. Like I look at it like look at the things I got to do and the gratefulness that I have for those opportunities instead of looking at it like, oh, if only if. You never know, but you just got to look at it like, hey, look what I did get to do. So live the love of that.
Yeah, there you go. So, I asked Steve the same question. What was your favorite memory that you have of your racing career?
Well, first one would be I was 18. Well, actually, I think I just turned 19, but I won at Milwaukee Mile in a truck, and that was 1984, and that was huge. It was just a really big deal at the time. It was a big deal in the sport.
Yeah.
And then of course, winning my first dash race at Asheville Speedway, that was big. David Pearson was there. Elmo Langley was driving the pace car. To know that those people were there and experienced it. And then of course, going when I went with BAM, it was kind of like, why you want to do this with a rookie driver instead of putting me in a full-time Busch car? You have the funds, why not do that? And then we'll work. No, they absolutely 100% wanted to go cup racing. So I'm like, well, I'm not afraid. So let's do it. Yeah. And the fact that we made Daytona on time, we had no, of course, owner points or no points to go on. The whole team was pretty much put together brand new. Rookie crew chief, rookie driver, rookie manager, rookie owners. I mean, you can't get more rookie than what we were.
Yeah. And
the fact that we made it in on time was a huge deal. It was a huge deal.
Yeah. Still is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
So those are moments that definitely put in the. I love to see that the Goodyear poster from that year, 2002. Mm-hmm. I'm in between Tony Stewart and Dale Jr.
There you go.
What a better place to be than just like,
perfect.
Wow, they're gonna put me in there in the whole lineup of the Goodyear poster.
Yeah,
that's a perfect place to.
That's awesome.
So that's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Well, all right. Well, thank you for coming out today. We really appreciate it. It's starting to wind down. We're getting close to the truck race.
Getting close to truck race time.
Got to get back to our infield. We camp infield for the tracks that we go to. And so we're right off turn 3.
Oh, yeah, you got to go have fun.
We got to get back, get up on top of it. Yeah, got to get back on top.
Go do what the fun is all about.
Oh, yeah. Yes, ma'am.
That sounds good to me. I wish I was going over there with you.
We appreciate you. Thank you so much
again.
Right,
thank you.
And nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too. Reach out anytime that if you want to share your show or
yes, ma'am.
Want anything in the future on it.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. We got to get back over to the bus and get ready for this truck race. But thank y'all so much. One of the definitely longest episodes we've ever had. So thank y'all.
Stay with us for sure.
Yeah, really appreciate y'all. And that's all I got. So till next time.
See you later, guys.